Over the weekend, there were two events which may have been interesting. Number one was the ULEZ, the anti-ULEZ march in London, which the various newspapers, the BBC, dismissed as hard right or conspiracy theories. Actually, I think the people protesting about the ULEZ tax have a perfectly sound point. This expansion of the congestion charge is sudden and extraordinarily restrictive. Doesn't particularly affect me, but I think it's fundamentally wrong. We'll come to that another time. As for Reform UK, it had its meeting over the weekend, and Anne Widdicombe spoke, and a video has emerged of Anne Widdicombe's speech, and it's really rather good. Don't approve what she says, but I very much approve of her speech. It was, she's extraordinarily good. She's an extraordinarily good piece of rhetoric. She does well. She has a good turn. She criticised Rishi Sunak, Boris, and Theresa May. Theresa May, no deal would be better than her deal. I can't remember what it was now. Boris, rip up the protocol. Rishi, a new beginning. Northern Ireland allowed to veto EU laws. Well, she now says that was a straightforward lie. Theoretically, Northern Ireland can veto EU laws, but in the same way that theoretically, and this is a rather brilliant point, theoretically, a prisoner can get out of jail if they can pick the lock. Her big point was that you don't negotiate to leave. You leave, and then you negotiate to have some sort of trade deal. That seems perfectly reasonable. But she also said that nobody in all the Brexit referendum speeches, of which I think actually the Leave campaign was significantly more vocal. The Remain campaign was fairly lukewarm and led by twits. But she said that she'd heard strong points on both sides. She's heard more than I heard. She said, but you don't. She never heard somebody say that we should leave and then we should pretend that we're still part of the EU. We should be half in and half out. Nobody argued for that hybrid situation where you vote out and yet remain in. And actually, she's quite right about that. I personally think that the Northern Ireland deal is about as good as we can get, but I equally think that one of the reasons we have a problem post-Brexit is Mrs May's dithering and frankly deceitful attempt to smudge the Brexit leave by using words, a negotiated exit rather than an exit. A negotiated exit which doesn't mean an exit, which is what she would have preferred, I think. And the simple solution was already there, to take the Brexit referendum exactly as it was intended, which was an advisory result rather than a decisive result. So a lot of foolishness, but it takes somebody of the character, tenacity, and frankly, the eloquence of Anne Widdicombe to put it so clearly. So hats off to Anne Widdicombe.